Here are the bubble matchups you guys need to look out for this weekend, starting with Auburn and Alabama. Unfortunately, Auburn still is alive despite winning 15 games this season, but they have 5 quad 1 wins. I do not care. Auburn does not deserve a spot in this tournament because they paid a lot of money for their roster preseason. If Auburn beats Alabama, they'll probably get in, quite frankly, on the road. I do not foresee that happening whatsoever. They do have talented players. Todd Pettiford's a good player. Keyshawn Hall's a good player, but they are a tough matchup against Alabama in Tuscaloosa, where they haven't lost since January 24th. Alabama shoots more threes than any team in the country. Auburn doesn't run teams off the three-point line, and they allow teams to shoot 37% from three. So they give a lot of open looks from beyond the arc to the number one three-point shooting team in the country in Alabama. Yeah, good fucking luck. Auburn's going to get run out of the gym. Alabama's going to prove that Auburn doesn't deserve to sniff the SEC or the NCAA tournament in this game. I think they blow them the fuck out. This game's over at halftime. 45 to 20. Auburn doesn't play. Alabama doesn't play defense either. So we'll go 55-39 at halftime. Alabama. Auburn does crash the boards at a high level, and Alabama does give up a lot of second chance opportunities. So that is a margin to look out for. But again, I just think against the teams in the SEC that play fast and shoot a lot of threes, like your Texas A&Ms, your UGAs, your Arkansas, your Vanderbilts, Auburn's lost to all those fucking teams, and none of those teams quite can really run and shoot the way that Alabama does, and none of those teams have a that's not true. Arkansas has Acuff, Vanderbilt has Tanner, but Phylon's a dog in his own right, respectively. Tough matchup for Auburn. I think they get blown the fuck out. Whatever this total opens at as well, take the over. I mean, Alabama overs have been feeding families all season, but it's really important that you take it at whatever it comes out on, because the second it comes out is the second people are going to bet on it, and the second people are going to bet on it, that total is going to jump 3 or 4 points. So take the over the second you see it on your sports book in this game. I love Alabama. I mean, again, Auburn doesn't run teams off the three-point line, and they allow a high clip from three, 38% from three. They allow to opposition. Alabama's the number one three-point shooting team in the country. So I think this over is free shmoney, especially consider the scores in Keyshawn and Tahad that Auburn has, right? So against a bad Alabama defense. I love the over. SMU at FSU, another game. Give me the points. FSU is getting a little bit sucked off here. I'm not buying it. I buy Booby Miller. I buy that dude Pierre, who's good for a 25 burger at any given moment. That guy can score with the best of them in the country when he's on. Both teams don't defend the three. SMU is 38% from three. SMU is 38% from three. FSU doesn't shoot the three very well, but they shoot the 15th most in the country against a team that allows a lot of threes to get hucked. Both teams play at a really fast pace. Both teams have better offensive efficiency than defensive efficiency. FSU's gotten hot recently. It's because they played Notre Dame, BC, Georgia Tech, and Pitt, and almost blew the game against Pitt. Pitt's one of the worst teams in the country. SMU's way more battle tested. They had a way tougher out-of-conference schedule. Booby Miller's one of the best guards in the top 15, 20 guard in the country, with Pierre, like I said, who can erupt at any moment, and the size advantage. I mean, FSU's best rebounder is a 6'7" guard. FSU's getting obliterated at home, but the over is smashing in this game. Give me SMU at whatever the line opens at, and give me the over at whatever the line opens at as well in this game. And I think FSU's tournament hopes get fucking crushed in Tallahassee. New Mexico at Utah State. The Mountain West is a gauntlet of a conference that I feel like nobody is talking about, man. I mean, Utah State is just glazed by every computer in America. Torvik, KenPom, the Net. They all love Utah State. Not sure why. Is it because they beat VCU out of conference? They beat Illinois State, which is a good team in the MVC? Maybe. But then New Mexico has probably better wins out of conference schedule, like against Santa Clara at VCU. I honestly couldn't tell you like what Utah State does better than New Mexico does better than San Diego State. Eye test tells me that these teams are all clumped together and pretty equal. Utah State did beat New Mexico in New Mexico, but they also just lost to UNLV, and New Mexico beat the brakes off UNLV. It's just whatever home team wins, take the home team in the Mountain West. But then you have a team like Colorado State in the Mountain West who has won 7 straight. They beat Utah State. They beat New Mexico. They beat San Diego State. They beat UNLV. So they don't sleep on the Rams at Colorado State. You have Utah State, you have New Mexico, you have San Diego State, Boise State was a team that people thought could make some noise. This conference tournament is going to be a fucking shit show and an absolute gauntlet. And this is the best. This is the number one conference for bid steals. And Colorado State seems like the number one team in the country that could come in and steal a bid out of the Mountain West. So this is a huge game for New Mexico if they don't win the conference tournament to increase their chances of an at-large bid against Utah State. And I think Utah State handles them. They're one of the best teams at home in the Mountain West. They beat New Mexico in New Mexico earlier this season when they played them. But yeah, and I can see the appeal with Utah State. They have that guy Falsleb who wears the headband that is just a beast down low. And they also have a really, really experienced guard in MJ Collins, who's a senior, who's averaged more than 20 minutes at least in all 4 years he's played college basketball, played at Virginia Tech for a couple years, played at Vanderbilt. So he has Power 4 experience, and having a guard that has Power 4 experience in the Mountain West gives you an obvious advantage, which is why probably the computers love Utah State so much. Don't sleep on the Utes. Don't sleep on the Aggies. Don't sleep on the Broncos of Boise State. Don't sleep on the Rams of Colorado State. Don't sleep on the Aztecs in San Diego State. Just don't sleep on the Mountain West. I'm taking the Utah though. Whatever it opens at. Give me Utah. Indiana at Ohio State. Fuck Indiana. This is probably the number one bubble matchup. If you win this game, you're probably going to get an at-large. Luckily for the Buckeyes, it's in Columbus. Luckily for the Buckeyes, they have the best player in this game. Thornton is an absolute baller. Indiana is a joke. Their only good win is Purdue, and Purdue has been handing out good wins for the past 50 years. Okay, there are choke artists in Purdue, so how much of a good win is it really? Their guard play stinks. DeVries is overrated. Their coach is an absolute rat who owes the city of Morgantown an apology, every West Virginia alumni an apology, every West Virginia player that he coached an apology, and most of all, he owes Javon Small an apology. Scummy rat, bottom barrel human being, the head coach. I'm not even going to say his name because it's not worth my time in Indiana. Ohio State blows the brakes off this team that has no good wins. Their best win is Wisconsin, and they got lucky as fuck in that game. The refs were on their knees for the DeVries family. I'm not saying their name, though. They were on their knees for Indiana in that game. Rat deserves jail time. Ohio State blows them the fuck out and eliminates them from NCAA contention wholeheartedly. I'm not betting on this game, though, because there's a lot of emotions involved pertaining to Indiana. So I don't bet on Indiana games usually. There's just a lot of them. You don't want to bet emotionally, Not betting on Ohio State. Not adding it to this list. I have enough. I want to see Indiana get crushed. UCLA at USC. USC's done. I mean, USC does not deserve to be even in the bubble. Neither does UCLA. I think UCLA should be a 7 or 8 seed. I'm higher on UCLA than a lot more teams that they have been ripping off wins recently. They beat Nebraska at home. They beat Purdue. Even though Purdue hands out, like I said, they hand out wins to everybody, but that doesn't fit my UCLA narrative, as though the same way it fits the Indiana narrative. So it's a good win. UCLA's win over Purdue is a good win for UCLA. But Indiana's win over Purdue, who cares? But UCLA beat Purdue. That's a good win. UCLA beat Purdue. They also beat Illinois. They also beat Nebraska. Dominant. Blew the brakes off Nebraska. USC is a clown show. But UCLA can't win on the road. So there's a little contradictory things going on here. No Chad Baker-Mazara. His career's done. Arenas still hasn't gotten completely settled in. USC has lost a bunch. I think they've lost 5 straight. How much of a away game is it really for UCLA? UCLA's weakness is that they let up a bunch of threes defensively. USC not only doesn't take them, they only make 31% of the threes they do take, where UCLA is shooting 37% from 3. USC also likes to play face. I don't know what I tried to say there. I got to just figure out my typing here. Fast. I think they like to play fast. You want to play fast with a guard like Donovan Dent, who has 3 snipers in his starting lineup. That's not a recipe for success. He's one of the best guards in the country. Give me UCLA at whatever the line opens at in dominating fucking fashion. I think this game's over at halftime. Give me UCLA whatever the halftime spread is too. Give me UCLA halftime, full-time too. Let me write that all down here. UCLA first half spread. UCLA halftime, full-time. Lock that in. Cincinnati at TCU. Now, this is another game where if you win, you're in. If you lose, you're probably done, especially for Cincinnati. If they lose, I think TCU will still get in if they can win a game or two in the Big 12 tournament. But if Cincinnati loses this game, they're probably going to have to go on a really big run in the Big 12 tournament. I just think TCU is a better basketball team. I think they should be a lock to get in. They have a lot of guys that score. They have like 4 guys that average over double digits. Jaden Pierre is clutch. He has a guy. That's a guy too that has a little bit of a clutch gene in him. He hit a game winner against Oklahoma State in overtime earlier this year, I believe. That like when we get into March, you need these clutch guys that aren't afraid of the moment. Jaden Pierre can be one of them. And TCU has some fucking really good wins, man. They beat Florida out of conference. They beat Wisconsin. They beat Iowa State. They beat Texas Tech on the road. They have won 4 straight. I just think they're better at basketball than TCU, whose only really good win is in Lawrence against Kansas. And Kansas is unraveling. The wheels have fallen off there at Allen Fieldhouse. Cincinnati's a very good defensive team, though. 7th in defensive efficiency. They can't score the ball. 205th and 2% field goal rate, and they shoot 33% from 3. It's just not good. They also don't get to the line. TCU rebounds the ball better. They score the ball better. I will be taking TCU at whatever the line opens at. And after this weekend, here's how I think it should go. This is what I think it should be, because what I think is going to happen, SMU, NC State is going to move down. They weren't in the last 4, but they're going to move down because the way UCLA dominates USC, and I think NC State has a chance to lose to Stanford, who is a team to keep an eye on now in the ACC tournament. They have some really good wins. They beat Miami. They beat North Carolina. So Stanford's a team now. If they add an NC State win to their resume, get some momentum going into the ACC tournament with Abuka Corey. Well, if you listen earlier in the season, I love Abuka Corey a whole lot. NC State's a team, or Stanford's a team, now, to keep an eye out for. If they get their 20th win this weekend over NC State, which I think they will, let's add that to the slip, actually. Actually, no, we're not going to add it because it's in NC State, Copeland Senior Net. We're not going to do that. But I think Stanford will beat them. I think they can beat them. I'm not high on NC State at all yet. I think Copeland's a corny clown. So SMU, NC State moves down to the first 4 out. UCLA moves up. TCU, Ohio State, those are the last 4 buys. Excuse me, not last 4. Those are the last 4 buys. Last 4 in, San Diego State, Cal, who beats Wake Forest. I think Indiana loses. That moves Indiana out of the last 4 in. Let me see what else. Who else was in the last 4 in on bracketology, just so I don't mess this up. It was Santa Clara, Ohio State, New Mexico, Indiana. I don't know how Santa Clara's in the last 4 in. I looked at Santa Clara's resume. Their most impressive win was St. Mary's 1 time. Other than that, they beat Minnesota. Cool. Like I don't see the appeal with Santa Clara whatsoever. They played in a joke of a Pacific Coast Conference. So I have Ohio State moves up to last 4 buys. I have Texas A&M moving down to last 4 in. Their resume is not really a whole lot, and they play LSU this week. They should beat LSU, but I think the fashion that Ohio State's going to beat the brakes off of that rat in Indiana, that's going to move them into the last 4 buys, and Texas A&M's resume isn't going to be as good as Ohio State's. That's going to move A&M down to last 4 in. I think New Mexico stays in the last 4 in, even with a loss to Utah State, which is a good squad, and I think Cal moves up because Indiana loses, and Cal's going to blow the brakes off of Wake Forest. And when you look at Cal's resume, they have a pretty good record. They beat UNC, they beat Miami, they beat SMU, they beat UCLA. Cal has a good resume, better resume than Lunardi's giving them credit for. First 4 out are going to be Dayton, who jumps VCU. I think they beat VCU Friday night. Indiana, they're going to get routed by Ohio State. They're going to be the last team in to the first 4 out. Auburn getting routed by Alabama. They're going to be first 4 out. Seton Hall, they beat St. John's Friday night. They jump up into the first 4 out section. The next 4 out, Stanford, after they beat NC State. I think Virginia Tech drops the next 4 out because they're going to get their brakes blown off by UVA. I think VCU moves down because they lose to Dayton. And I think Santa Clara moves down because they never deserved to be in the last 4 in anyway. I don't know what the appeal is. Their only good one is St. Mary's. They lost to St. Louis, New Mexico, Arizona State. Wow, what the fuck are we doing? They lost to Loyola Chicago. What are we doing? Rest in peace to Sister Jean. If she's dead, I think she's dead. Rest in peace. What are we doing here? That's what's going to happen. Let's talk about some of these. The ACC is the conference to watch this weekend because there could be a lot of movement. Like I said, Clemson, if they lose to Georgia Tech, that could shake a whole lot of things up in terms of bubble watch, but I think Clemson should be good. Virginia Tech. If Virginia Tech can beat Virginia, that's gonna in Virginia, that's gonna be a great win. That's gonna solidify Virginia Tech in the tournament. In my eyes, that's gonna be bad news for some of these Big Ten teams on the bubble, and TCU or Cincinnati, or maybe one of these teams we think is a lock at the last 4 in. SMU, Florida State. If Florida State can upset SMU, That would be huge for the Seminoles as they get into the ACC tournament. Stanford, NC State, the game to watch. If Stanford beats NC State, look at Stanford as a team that could maybe weasel in over these next going into the ACC tournament. They have one of the best guards in the country in Ibuka Okori, and they do have some really, really good wins as well. I don't know how many quad one wins they have, but they beat Louisville, they beat Virginia Tech, they beat North Carolina. They have some good wins. They beat SMU. That's got to be at least 4 quad one wins right there. Keep an eye on Stanford. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. And then I think as far as the Big Ten is concerned on Sunday, I think Michigan beats Michigan State at home. I think Michigan State has played really good basketball. Michigan did just win a really, really close game against Iowa. They were up 10 with like 6 minutes to go. Bennett Sturts and company cut that lead down to like 2. I think they tied it actually, but then Michigan was able to clutch it out. They're still a really good basketball team. Iowa's not the easiest place to play. I think that it is Michigan's game to lose against the Spartans. That'll do it. Well, I think we recovered it all. I really do. I mean, a lot going on. We have some conference tournaments to look at. Keep an eye on Belmont, guys. Keep an eye on Belmont. I think they're a team they're a team that's been flirted around here with an at-large bid throughout the year. I was watching this guy, Rick Hammond, I think his name is, on TikTok. He said Belmont's a team that could be a real sleeper come March. So keep an eye on Belmont. They play at 1 o'clock. If you're listening to this on Friday, the game's probably already over. Either way, I love you guys, man. I'll talk to you guys on the next episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. If you made it this far, go follow on TikTok. I go live and talk college hoops on there all the time as well. I love you guys.